Part 1. The Dream of the Unlikely Scholar. Michael, a boy from a small, quiet town in Ohio, had always dreamt of something greater. He was no ordinary student. Curiosity filled his every thought. From a young age, Michael found himself fascinated by places far beyond the borders of his rural life. But being raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs to support them, his dream of traveling the world to study seemed impossible. Each night, Michael would sit at his window, staring up at the stars. "One day, I'll be out there, learning from the best," he'd whisper to himself. The townspeople often called him a dreamer. They'd tell him to focus on practical things, like getting a job at the local factory. "People like us don't go traveling," they'd say. But deep down, Michael knew he was destined for more. His inspiration came from an old, tattered book he found at the town's tiny library. The book told the stories of world explorers, adventurers, and scholars who traveled the globe, learning from different cultures and discovering new ideas. To Michael, it was a sign. One day, during his final year in high school, he learned about a prestigious international scholarship. The scholarship offered bright students a chance to study abroad, students like Michael. But there was one problem. The competition was fierce, and Michael's school was underfunded, with minimal resources to help him prepare. Part 2. A struggle begins. Despite the odds stacked against him, Michael decided to apply. "I have to try," he said to his mother, Sarah. She was skeptical, but seeing the determination in her son's eyes, she supported him. "I believe in you, Michael," she said softly, though inside, she feared his heart would break when reality hit. Michael threw himself into his studies, spending long nights in the library and seeking help from the few teachers who saw potential in him. But this wasn't just a test of intelligence, it was a test of resilience. Each day brought new challenges. His classmates mocked him, calling him the dreamer, and his part-time job at the diner left him exhausted. But he pressed on, using every moment of free time to prepare for the scholarship. One fateful afternoon, just a week before the scholarship deadline, Michael received devastating news. His mother had been laid off from one of her jobs. The weight of supporting the household fell entirely on his shoulders. He would have to work extra hours to make ends meet, leaving less time for his scholarship application. Frustration and doubt crept into Michael's heart. "Maybe they were right," he thought. "Maybe I'm just a dreamer." Part 3. The Unexpected Ally. But just when things seemed bleak, an unexpected ally appeared. Mr. Wilson, his old history teacher. Mr. Wilson had been quietly observing Michael's determination over the years and decided to intervene. "Michael," he said one day after class, "I see something special in you. Don't give up. I'll help you with your application. You deserve this opportunity." Together, they worked late into the evenings. Mr. Wilson guided him through the grueling application process and helped him craft an essay that reflected his passion for education and the world. In that essay, Michael wrote about how learning in different countries could not only change his life but also allow him to bring knowledge back to his small town, a town that had once stifled his dreams. Days turned into nights, and before he knew it, the application was sent off. Michael was exhausted but proud. Now, all he could do was wait. Part 4. The long-awaited news. Weeks passed, and Michael's anticipation turned into anxiety. Each day, He'd rush home from the diner, hoping to find a letter in the mailbox. And each day, it remained empty. But one evening, as the winter air grew colder, Michael came home to see his mother standing at the door, holding a letter in her trembling hands. "Michael," she said, her voice shaking. "It's here." His heart raced. He could barely tear open the envelope fast enough. As he unfolded the letter, his eyes skimmed over the words. "Congratulations." Michael couldn't believe it. He had won the scholarship. His dream of studying abroad was no longer just a dream, it was reality. Tears welled up in his eyes as he hugged his mother. "I did it, Mom. I did it." But this was just the beginning. Part 5. A New World Awaits. Michael's first destination was France, where he would attend a renowned university in Paris. Arriving in the bustling city, he was overwhelmed by the sights, sounds, and sheer magnitude of it all. For the first time in his life, he was surrounded by people from all over the world. It was exhilarating and intimidating. The first few months were tough. Language barriers, cultural differences, and the feeling of being far from home weighed heavily on him. He often found himself feeling like an outsider, unsure if he truly belonged. But Michael had not come this far to give up. He threw himself into his studies, just as he had back in Ohio. He attended lectures, made friends with students from various countries, and slowly but surely, began to find his place in this new world. His professors noticed his dedication, and soon, he was being invited to seminars, conferences, and cultural exchanges across Europe. Part 6. The World is a Classroom. As the years went by, Michael's journey took him to other countries. In India, he studied ancient texts and philosophies that opened his mind to new ways of thinking. In Japan, he learned the importance of discipline and respect in education. In South Africa, he witnessed firsthand the power of education to heal and transform communities. Each country offered its own lessons, not just academically but personally. Michael became more than just a scholar. He became a citizen of the world. He learned to see beyond borders, understanding that knowledge was not confined to one place or one culture. But amid all his travels, he never forgot his roots. Every year, he would return home to Ohio, visiting his mother and sharing his experiences with the local community. He gave talks at his old school, inspiring younger students to dream big, just as he had once done. Part 7. The Legacy of a Dreamer. Years later, Michael would become a professor, teaching students from all over the world. His story became well known in academic circles. A small-town boy who traveled the world in pursuit of knowledge, only to return and share that knowledge with others. But for Michael, the greatest reward wasn't the titles or accolades. It was the lives he touched, the students who, like him, had once felt limited by their circumstances but were now inspired to break free and explore the world. And in his quiet moments, Michael would often look up at the stars, just as he had done as a boy. He would smile and remember those nights when the world felt so far away, knowing now that he had not only reached it but become part of it. The dreamer had finally found his place in the world.